The other thing that slips away is your daily routine. Your daily routine, I'm sure if you're like me, your daily routine was around, getting up, getting kids organized perhaps, getting everybody off to school, getting yourself to work, getting your teams ready, getting new projects, talking to clients, doing all those things. Your daily schedule and your daily routine will evaporate. What are you going to replace it with? The third thing is your built-in social network shrinks fast. If you're like me, you go from this huge social network and events and functions. In fact, you try to decide what to say no to. Now you get into retirement and you're just looking to say yes to something. You're looking for that social interaction. Your colleagues vanish. I thought after working for a company for 35 years, moving my family all over the country to be successful, all of those contacts, domestic and abroad, I thought for sure my connections would remain tight. But the fact of the matter is life moves on and those connections fade. So you have to find a place for new connections. The fourth thing is suddenly your sense of urgency kind of dissipates. You used to say to yourself, like, oh my gosh, I have this deal that has to close. I have performance reviews that have to get in. I have strategic memos that need to be written. I have budgets that have to be done. You had all this sense of urgency. Now you have all this free time. So what's really your sense of urgency? I know I found myself saying things like, I have to get to the grocery store. Like, I have to get to the eye doctor's appointment. Like, I was making that like the end all be all thing in the day just to try to bring in that urgency again. But the sense of urgency definitely dissipates. The fifth thing is your status and your recognition starts to fade away. I know early on when I retired, I had some of my team members call me. They'd ask me questions. They would talk about problems or team problems or integration problems or whatever was happening. But slowly those calls faded and no one was calling me anymore. And it leaves you feeling a little empty. And that's one of the things that just slips away. When I was working, and I worked in all different parts of the U.S., but specifically when I handled Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana, 4 great states that I did enjoy thoroughly, I was on the move all the time. I would literally land in different airports and in, 3 or 4 inch high heels, I would get myself a mile or 2 inside the airport to my next gate. Or I'd get dropped off and walk to a client. I was moving all day long. I was one of those people that chose to take the stairs instead of the elevator just because I thought it'd be better for me. Suddenly, number 6, physical movement decreases. You have to motivate yourself. You don't just have things to do, unless you have a dog. And as a lot of you guys know, we have Ruby. So Ruby's always kind of pushing me to get outside and walk. But it's a fact. Physical movement decreases. Number 7, emotional resilience gets tested. And let me tell you a little bit about this. There were so many things that either I did or Mark did or the kids did or friends did or my mom, God rest her soul, or my pop did, my brother, all the people in my world that did. But when I was busy working, I kind of let things happen. I kind of did the let them theory of Mel Robbins. But, your loss of identity really triggers an imbalance in your emotional resilience. And all of a sudden, small things feel bigger, whereas let's say Mark left his coffee cup in the sink or all his breakfast plates or forgot to take out the trash or whatever it was when we were working, it was almost easier for me just to say, that's okay, we'll catch it next time because I'm busy too. When you're not busy, you tend to get a little more emotionally testy, I would say, because you have time to really think things through. The 8th thing that I wanted to say is, I found that ultimately some conversations dried up. People that I tried really hard to stay connected to. I tried really hard. I would drive miles. I would cross states to go see people just because I wanted to maintain that connection. And in the beginning, it was great. It's all the catch up. How's the team? How are the kids? How's work? How's your new boss? Whatever it was. But over time, there was less to talk about. I stay in touch with a few of my work colleagues because I'm always like, what are you guys reading? If they're still working, they're looking at me saying, Jody, we don't have a lot of time to read. So even that is starting to dry up. So that's one of the things people don't talk to you about. The ninth thing is travel starts to feel a little less special. And I remember when my mom retired and my pop would always say, let's go here, let's go to the Carolinas, let's go to Bermuda, let's go here or there. And she was kind of like, I just don't really want to travel anymore. It's more of a hassle than it is, something that I look forward to. And I thought to myself, I never really want to get like that. However, after being in retirement for a couple years, if a trip is coming up, I do start to get kind of what I call into travel mode a lot earlier. I get a little anxious. I start thinking about the airports and delays and, what's been happening with, air traffic control and, what's going to happen with, the new Real ID and do I have everything I need? I don't know. It's almost like I have more time to think about it. So it feels less special because I make it more of a mountain to climb, than, something to look forward to. This is an important one to me. I always had huge sense of accomplishment. So the 10th one is